Welcome to the Elements of Spirit for the readings for the week of December 24th, 2017. It's Christmas Eve. Feliz Noche Buena. These are the readings for the element of water, which includes the sun signs of Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. If you haven't watched either, go back and check it out now. All affirmation that is all about pausing, stopping, honoring, being grateful for this time, this space, this moment, and being here. Arguably the hardest thing to do, to stop and be present and be grateful to be here. Period. Sometimes when you do that, lots of shit happens. Things move. Okay, so much like when we did the first reading and we were talking about pausing, right? I'm here pausing as, the first statement that came through today was be still and know that it's not over, right? Be still because it's going to keep moving. There's something in here for the water signs, which is that when that flow of emotions and feelings, and nostalgia and past looking and forward looking, hey, this has been me for the last few days, past looking, forward looking, there can be so much motion, so much energy in motion, so much emotion that it leads to paralysis. Constant motion can yield paralysis. The prisons of my past are in the past. In stillness, I am free. In constant motion, I may become paralyzed, but in stillness, I am free. For even if I move one hair's breadth from total stillness, it is motion. Right? It is motion. It is motion. But when the motion is constant, it can become powerful and vortexy, but it can also lead to paralysis. Why? Because motion in prison, right, is finite. Motion in stillness is infinite, aka dissolves prisons. And dissolves bars, right? Dissolves prison. It's funny. I know this guy who actually was in jail in a Turkish prison, right? And he ended up being there for 5 years, 6 years, and the only book that he had on him when he got into that jail was Light on Yoga, right? Iyengar's book. I think it's Iyengar's book. Yeah, Light on Yoga. And he did nothing but follow the instructions in that book and do yoga and meditate. Arguably, the point of yoga is to be able to to be able to cultivate stillness in the presence of all motion, right? Or motion in stillness, right? Total stillness, total poise, thoughts not moving, chitta vritti nirodha, right? Thoughts, cessation of the fluctuations of the mind, right? Stillness, all these concepts of stillness. Basically, if you're in a confined box and you're bouncing off the walls, you're going to expend a lot of energy until you have no choice but to stop. But if you just stop and become still inside of these prison walls, you may be shrinking the space of your prison to be even more contained. But within that prison space, you know exactly how far you can go, which is to say infinitely or not at all. So I think what this is actually implying is that you have the right to redefine the limits of your prison, and you have the right to both stay put inside if you want or to move beyond. The whole point is that if you give yourself different circumstances, self-imposed, strong circumstances that say stop completely, right? You are giving yourself wonderful boundaries within which to be unlimited, right? You can also say, if you were in the prison cell, like my friend, stop completely and live within these boundaries, right? Cultivate stillness in the midst of this, total acceptance in the midst of this confinement, and you become free. Oh, it's funny. I'm sitting the way that it looks in this card called Restriction, the Eight of Swords in the William Blake deck, where he's like this, and he's totally confined, and then above his head, there's an explosion of light. So the idea is that if you and I and we try to break out of our prison this holiday season, it's not going to work so well, right? To sort of buck the system and try to escape, it's not going to work so well. So rather, we are encouraging a redefinition of the space inside of this prison, even if it's about confining it a little bit more and setting the terms inside of that secured and controlled space of confinement. So it's like saying, yeah, you think I'm stuck in the middle of all this family bullshit, but in truth, I'm in a prison of my own making, and in here I'm completely free. But, so I hope you get that. I hope you like that. But the affirmation, which is wonderful, came through right at the very beginning of this. I am allowed to be joyful. I am allowed to be joyful. I am allowed to be joyful. This is saying that joy has the power to transcend all prisons. And if you stop using the ether, well, if you use the ether affirmation in order to stop, it plugs you joyfully and deeply into this space of I am allowed to be joyful. So stopping gives you the power to be infinitely joyful or joyfully infinite. But if you stop and all you can see are the walls of the prison, all the more reason to use the affirmation. I am allowed to be joyful. I am allowed to be joyful. I am allowed to be joyful. I love you and I am allowed to be joyful. Bye.